Wrong. Your audio's on the wrong input. I saw my burrito. I just made it. I am in chaos. I goofed it this week, guys. I completely goofed it. I'm eating my burrito that I just made.
This is, I don't know if you, I know I'm fixing my audio right now. Can you at least hear me?
Yeah, it's coming through the AirPods, I think.
Okay. Well, while I'm fixing it, this reminds me of the good old days with the frozen pizza.
Oh, this is big frozen pizza throwback for me here.
Okay, there we go. There we go.
Mmm.
Oh,
Cheers.
geez. This is going great.
Mm-hmm. It's going really, really... Has my lamp been knocked over? Did I knock my lamp over?
Oh, jeez.
No.
Oh, everyone's saying that we're extremely late, so I think you have some explaining to do here.
All right, look. Everyone's saying I'm 51 minutes late. I'm only 1 minute late. I just accidentally scheduled it for an hour early. So that's, yeah. I'll not be accepting criticism more than 2 minutes of tardiness.
I see.
And also
So
being
you're
an idiot and scheduling for the wrong time.
So do you take responsibility for this timing schedule issue or no?
Mm-mm.
No.
Nope. That's your fault.
It's my fault.
Yeah.
How's that? How do you figure that?
It's contractually written that you are the QC. You're supposed to be making sure that everything happens. You know, redundancy and whatnot.
You know, the funny thing is, earlier today, I was like, I always get the notification on my phone that's like, oh, dark mode in 30 minutes. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm going to do that in 30 minutes. But I checked and I saw it earlier and I was like, oh yeah, dark mode in 30 minutes. Okay. And the notification must have come like an hour and a half before instead of a half hour before, but I didn't even realize. So I will take a small piece of the blame here, a very small piece of the blame here.
How charitable of you to take a small piece, huh?
You're welcome. That's more than I deserve, honestly.
Really,
more blame than I deserve.
That's fair. To answer this question here, yeah, I'm eating a burrito. What of it? I had to eat
What's
food.
in it? Is this the soy rizo?
No, so I was gonna make ground beef, but I've been away all weekend, and I'm sorry to say my ground beef did not survive. So I improvised, and what we're looking at here is Spanish rice, black beans, Mexican cheese, of course, the classics, the staples. A little bit of onion, gotta have that,
Yep.
and then so it may or may not be.
Oh God!
It may or may not be frozen Italian meatballs crushed up with taco seasoning.
Oh, what?
It may or may not be that. I will not confirm, but I will also not deny.
Okay, hypothetically speaking, of course, if it were that, would it be good?
Hypothetically, it would actually be surprisingly tasty.
I mean, I don't think it's... I don't know if it's super surprising, right? You got your meat, you got your taco seasoning. You know, that's all you need.
I do also have to say, I'm very glad that you guys... I've seen a bunch of comments here talking about the Japan tech video today. That was a lot of fun to film. I also noticed this fun one, so the other videos by Sam and your Japan host were all wonderful. So is mine not wonderful? I can't tell if this is like, a Freudian slip. Oh no, wait, hey, look, he said the Tokyo video was tons of fun. Okay, that wasn't backhanded. I'm happy now. Because you never know with this podcast. Dude, are
paranoid?
You never know with this audience, right? Am I wrong? This audience is always just like, hey, nice work. And I'm like, wait, did I do something amazing or terrible? I don't know. They're always out to get us.
Fair enough. They're holding us to a high standard here. We should be thanking them.
They came here for a podcast, and we gave them Italian meatballs cut up into pieces and put in taco seasoning. It's sort of a metaphor for this whole charade, really.
Honestly, you're right.
Okay, I'm going to save the other half of my burrito. I managed to make it halfway through. Look at that Italian sausage in there. GH5 making those colors really pop, you know. It's kind of good. I'm not going to lie.
It can't be bad. I mean, at worst, it could be like a little weird, but it can't be bad.
It's not like anatomically accurate, but it's good. I'm going to go preserve this somehow. I'll be right back.
Okay. While you're doing that, lots of love for the Tokyo video. I started watching. I didn't get to finish it yet, but I started watching it. That was great. Someone asked what happened to Tiger Direct. That was the iPad. I forget it. I feel like we probably followed up on that on the podcast, but I'll just say very briefly, Tiger Direct was selling some Apple products for super cheap, and Luke and I both bought iPads, and they just canceled the orders. I'm pretty sure we followed up on that, but someone asked. What else?
No, I think it's quite possible that we forgot to follow up on that.
Okay, maybe it was just like, maybe we just talked about it, but I kind of felt like maybe we did, but maybe we didn't. Someone said we forgot to follow up. Maybe we forgot.
It's nearly impossible to discern things that we personally discuss versus things that we say on the podcast, because the podcast is basically our weekly just like FaceTime call.
Yeah.
And so as a result of that, who's to say, really? We have no idea.
I mean, the audience is saying that we forgot the chat. A few people in the chat said that we forgot. So maybe we could just touch on that briefly, since I guess we forgot to.
I mean, to be fair, I don't know if I trust this chat. They're always out to get us, and you know, they tell us lies all the time. I mean, this guy just said boobs. Like,
but that's not a lie.
Context.
It's
not a lie.
It's not a lie.
It's not relevant.
It's always at least a little relevant.
That's fair. I won't deny that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Let me. I'm gonna just get something really quickly.
Okay.
For during the actual show.
Oh, is this some kind of secret that you're gonna show off? Is it a Mac?
Not a secret. It's not a secret. I just wanted to make sure that I had it over there, you know?
I see.
All right, we're all good. No fears to have. Don't have any fears. Okay.
No secrets.
Hey, look at the time. What do you think, Noah? Should we launch this rocket?
Let's take off.
Oh, good one. Nice. Oh, dude, I am so out of it. I literally was this close to hitting the end broadcast button. What am I doing? What's happening? Okay, you ready?
Yeah. Are you?
This one's gonna be a mess, folks. I'm just gonna warn you right now. I can't even stay centered. I keep getting more crooked here. Okay. All right, let's do a podcast, shall we?
Okay.
Today's episode. Wait, that's not how we start the podcast. What am I doing? Hang on. You want to know something really bad?
What?
Because this is where I record sponsor segments. So I started saying today's video is sponsored by. Oh my God.
No.
I am a mess. Okay. Welcome to Drk Mode, the podcast that brings you sage advice from two technology experts, and that's not just what we call ourselves. That's what our moms tell people when we are really dumb and we schedule the podcast for an hour early, and then we start the podcast eating a sausage burrito while accidentally introducing a sponsored video, which this is not, because we operate at a complete and total loss. I'm your host, Luke Miani.
And I'm your host, Noah Rubin. You can speak for yourself, because I think most of those points you just made were on you there. But we can hash that out. On this show, we take questions from listeners, attempt to answer them to varying degrees of success, maybe a little bit less success this week than others, judging by how things have gone so far, and maybe even have a laugh or two along the way. Maybe. Laugh at ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm right in saying that the laughs that people have are mostly at our, and specifically my, expense. Not to say that we're funny, just that we're at times remarkably dumb and can't hold anything together. And people think that I'm drunk. I'm not. COVID brain, hot mess, Noah throwing shame. I can't believe this. This is a terrible, terrible development. Look, if I may have the chance to explain myself, you guys, this weekend, I had a ton of fun filming a video. Surprise, I know. But it's been a very chaotic couple of days. I just got home about 4.5, 3 hours ago even. And I've just been sort of wildly running around trying to fix another video, trying to catch up on today's video and make sure, check in on comments and stuff. Also started importing stuff from the video that I filmed this weekend. I'm tired, man. I don't know what's going on anymore.
I've definitely had some days like that where I'm just like totally out of it, and like, I don't know. I feel that. I'll give you a pass. You're very busy.
Thank you.
Busy man.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Busy man. Not busy with anything like fancy. Not to be like, oh, I'm important, I'm busy. No, I'm just busy being dumb. So like, I'll take that. But here we are. We made it. And I'm honestly really happy to see that so many people enjoyed the Japan video. That really warms my heart, It's warm in there, my heart. It's, what's the human body temperature? 98.6? Something like that?
Yeah.
My heart's pulling a straight 200 right now. That it's medically frightening how hot and warm my heart is because of all of the love on the Japan video.
You should get that checked out.
My doctor, my Apple Watch has been going crazy. My doctor has been calling me saying, Luke, we got to get you to the ER. This is life or death. But I'm just here because of the podcast. All right.
That actually might explain why you're so frazzled right now. Your heart is overheating. It's like the equivalent of an Intel MacBook Pro overheating.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens when the computer overheats? It throttles.
Absolutely. I'm thermal throttling. I have the Core i9 heart, folks, and you guys are the Cinebench to my Core i9 heart. I'm going crazy over here, right? I'm running at full speed.
That sounds good, right? Like such a corny Valentine. Like, there's super corny Valentines on purpose. Like, that'd be such a good one.
Yeah, you guys are the Cinebench to my Intel Core i9. That's a good saying. I'm going to put that on merch. Just kidding. I'm not actually talented enough. If I were a good YouTuber, I would absolutely, have that all planned out, and I would have marketable plushies and, all of this stuff. But I don't know how to do anything, or, I'm sitting here talking to you on our loss leading podcast, Drk Mode. So that's evidence enough.
Yeah, we're not allowed to make money on this show.
It's almost illegal. Almost. But what's really interesting, actually? I've been very curious about the the Japan Tech video because, I mean, obviously it was a ton of fun, right? I would have done that regardless. The fact that there was a video of it is almost circumstantial, right? It's a bonus. But so the video has been one of the best received videos that I've posted. The amount of comments and likes, the engagement is crazy. And yet, the YouTube algorithm does not seem to be super keen on it. It's weird because every time I do these unusual videos, this is the kind of thing that happens. The people that watch it love it. The average view duration, for reference, on tech videos, tech channels that upload, 10 to 15 or so minute videos, usually your average view duration is around 5 minutes. That's where people tend to target. The average view duration on that video is 9 minutes and 25 seconds. That's really, really, really good. I think that's more than half the video. Is it? How long is that?
It's pretty good.
Yeah. No, it's about half the video. That's substantial. And yet, it's a stone cold 9 out of 10 in terms of video performance.
Huh. That's unfortunate.
Yeah. I mean, it happens. I want to build content that people enjoy, and I ideally want to expand my audience. And I'm not going to do that just by, talking about the M2 and making up problems with it so that I can be mad about it. That's only good for so much. And then you kind of run out of goodwill in the community, and that's no fun.
Yeah, I think these videos are I guess it's kind of obvious, or maybe this is just a theory, but I guess like the people that are watching your videos like this because it's something different. It's obviously, still closely related to tech. And, you've got Sam in there, people who watch your videos know Sam, and you've got the Tokyo Lens guy, right? Norm, in there as well, which is very cool. And it's all tech stuff. So I feel like the people that like you would like that video because it's more tech stuff, but it's different. And, it's got you in it and you're doing your thing. But I guess like the algorithm just thinks that it's too different from your normal stuff. So it doesn't want to like promote it, which is really, a shame.
Yeah, I mean, I would wager that on any given video launch day, there are probably about 20,000 people who will watch it pretty much regardless. As even if it's like really out there, or just unusual, there are about 20,000 people that will watch that video. I'd say there's also about 60,000 people. I'll call them my swing voters.
Mm-hmm.
My swing voters are about 60,000 people. And on launch day, depending on the title and thumbnail, almost completely independent of content, but depending on the title and thumbnail, they will be like, aha, that one I'll watch. Or they'll be like, talk about a MacBook guy. All right. I want to see stuff about a MacBook. I don't want to see this content about you traveling thousands of miles to go and explore some vintage retro technology in a foreign country where things are labeled differently and completely different to my own life. I have no interest in that, Talk about the M2 Max thermal throttling, and then you got my attention. So there's some swing voters out there,
Yeah. That's what they call them.
The swing voters, yeah.
Yeah.
And fair warning, guys, this year is the year. God, it's hot in here. Hang on. The air conditioning is on, and the heating is on, and it's loud. It's ruining my audio, and I'm too hot. I'll be right back.
I'm jealous of you because it's really cold in my house right now. It's cold in my house, but my roommates like when it's cold. So I'm not going to turn up the heat. I'm just going to be cold. what's going on in the
I'm
chat.
back. Okay.
You're back. Okay.
Oh, so nice and toasty. Just how you like it here and not there.
Yeah, we should trade climates.
I feel like in general, you might not like that. It is
In
quite
general.
cold. It's actually, it's 48 degrees here. What is it where you are?
It's like the same, honestly. It's been the high today was like 50.
Get wrecked. Yeah, it was 56 here earlier, so
That's
get pranked.
better. That's better than here for right now.
Damn. Did you see? Whoa, hello, burrito. Did you see that it snowed in LA?
I did hear about that. It's pretty crazy.
Weird, very bad. Planet, not. This one's a total write-off. Do we have insurance claim or something? Because this one's toast.
I don't know, man. It can't be global warming if things are cold, right?
There you go. Debunked. That's how it works.
Yeah, I feel like we've had that discussion before. I think that one's been put to rest.
That's fair. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. I was going to tell you guys that the video that you have seen today of me in Japan buying this, which did make it all the way back to the US, thousands of miles away. It kind of got me on a vintage kick.
You could say that.
It's it's something that I've always been interested in, and I've talked about, the good old days of Apple and like retrospectives. I've talked about some PowerPC stuff. I haven't really gotten into this old. And well, ever since buying this Macintosh Plus in Japan, it has sent me down a bit of a rabbit hole. And I knew that I was down the rabbit hole when I ordered a modern replacement part for a vintage electronic that you will see. And the website was rabbitholecomputing.com. And I was like, oh God, they clocked me real fast.
Yeah, it's a little on the nose there with the name.
Yeah, they absolutely knew what they were doing with that tagline.
Yeah.
So honestly, fair enough. I deserve that. But I think with that package now arriving, I can get to work on the video that I'm going to do with this Macintosh Plus, because this thing is honestly superb. I love it. Look at it. This is so cool. Steve Jobs' design here with the original Macintosh. The Macintosh Plus is basically unchanged from the 128K design from 1984. There are several other iterations with which Noah is familiar.
I am. I don't want to say, I don't want to spoil anything, but I am.
Yeah. So there's other versions that are available, but this Macintosh Plus is basically the same design as the original 128K. And there's some limitations to it. As you guys saw in Japan, it powered on and it went to the flashing folder icon, and that indicates that there's no OS. Now, the reason that there's no OS is because a Macintosh Plus has no storage on it. It has, I think this one, I don't know how much RAM this one has. I have no idea. I think it's probably 3/4 of a meg, half a meg, maybe a meg. I know there was a Macintosh Plus 1 megabyte, and this isn't it, so maybe it's not 1 megabyte. But that's it. That's all you got. You're basically just working with a floppy drive, and I am sorry to say, the floppy drive does not work.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Now, there is a solution to it, which I will be demonstrating hopefully quite soon. I think I'm able to work on that video soon before yet more traveling takes place. But, oh man, the vintage stuff has just gotten me down this rabbit hole. I'm hopelessly lost.
Yeah, I guess maybe I didn't realize that was the start. The Macintosh Plus in Japan was the start of this
Yep.
little saga here, but I've definitely been along the ride for a lot of the other stuff that's going to come, and it has been very interesting.
I will give you guys another preview of what is to come. I kind of teased this on Twitter, but this is one that I'm so excited for. And by the way, it's so hard for me to keep secrets because I've got a lot of videos that have sort of spawned out of this Japan tech hunting video that I can't wait to show you guys. But one of them is a pipe dream of mine.
Oh yeah.
That's all I'll show for now. But that has been I've wanted I've wanted one of those for over a decade. For those listening and who can't see what I just showed, it's a Macintosh portable. And I have wanted one since I found out that it existed, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's incredible. I need one of those." It took me until now, but I do finally have one, and I'm so excited to show you guys. I think I'm going to try to get 2 videos out of the thing because it's just so fascinating.
Yeah, and it's in super great condition because that one I hadn't seen the Macintosh Plus, which also looked like it was in amazing condition, and the portable I did see, and that was in such good conditions. That's really cool.
No, the portable is, I mean, it's not even yellowed. That's the crazy thing, because when you get these old Macs, I mean, if they sit in the sun, they just start to become very yellow and crusty. The Macintosh Plus that I have does have a little bit of it, but it's not very much. The Macintosh Portable, which was originally less beige than the desktop Macs were, so this one is basically not yellowed at all. There's no cracks, there's no chips. Like it's really nice.
Yeah, that's super awesome. Super awesome.
It's also funny that they mentioned this. I guess, there's only a couple people here. I'll spoil. Where do you think I was this weekend, huh? What you think got me all frazzled today, huh? Traveling, have a Macintosh portable? You can put 2 and 2 together. Yeah. I also wanted to address this comment here. Ethan asks, which computers are you missing, Luke? Quite a lot, but the only other, I think at some point, a pipe dream of mine is I want an original 128K Macintosh.
Are those like super rare?
They're not. It's not that crazy. I've been waiting to try to find one that's like really good. I mean, for reference, you can find some of these things for a couple $100. It's not impossible. They're not, insane, but I've been looking for this like perfect storm because I want to get one in box with its original like software and all the discs. Because the way I look at it is like, obviously there's going to be video on the Macintosh plus a lot of other retro stuff coming to the channel. So if I'm gonna buy a 128K, which is very, very similar to a Macintosh Plus, and I'm gonna have this, Luke Miani Museum of Retro Apple Tech, my thought there is I should probably have something a little bit more special, a little bit more complete for a 128K so that I can make a video. And I would love to do a video where I unbox and really go through as original and complete as possible a 128K.
Yeah, that would be really cool. If you can find, I'm sure that would be, maybe it'd be hard to find, probably kind of expensive, but like I feel like that's worth it. If you're getting one of those, you got to get it with like a really nice quality one.
Absolutely. No, I'm just sort of waiting for the right combination of, price and not being absolutely annihilated in shipping costs, because sometimes it's like, $9,000 billion to get one of these things shipped. It's a whole thing. But this was actually a very interesting question. What did California Border Patrol say when you declared that? So I didn't declare the Macintosh Plus. Nobody said anything. When I went through, I brought it through customs or exit customs in Japan. I brought it through customs in the US. It wasn't very expensive. I don't even know if it reached the threshold for where you would have to declare, and it might not even have been duty free. So I'm not sure I don't even know how it works, but I got a lot of comments. I will tell you, walking through many airports with a Macintosh Plus, because I brought it as carry-on. I didn't check it or anything. It came on the plane with me, and it was in the overhead compartment. And there were a lot of weird looks.
Well, I won't say anything more, but I'll say that is in my immediate future.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to hear that it worked out for you, because I'm a little bit nervous about going through security with one of those, but we'll see what happens, I guess.
Well, wait, but why?
I don't know. It's like such a weird thing. Like they're not gonna like. I mean, I guess they just put it through the X-ray and then they.
Yeah, I mean, it goes on the
you.
conveyor belt. It goes through the X-ray.
Yeah.
I was worried that the X-ray. I was like, is the X-ray gonna like interfere with something? These things have very wacky, goofy power supplies, and I don't know. But it didn't seem to do anything bad. It's not a vegetable or a drug. It's fine, says John.
That's the threshold right there. That's all they check. It's like 20 questions.
I will say though, bringing back the Macintosh Portable was a bit of a nightmare.
Really?
Oh, I had the full like bomb testing. Like they had me, they pulled me aside to a special room, and they did like the full pat down. He's like, I'm gonna use the back of my hands, and I'm gonna slide in a vertical motion across your groin, like the whole thing. They had like 7 TSA agents, officers, whatever they are, like inspecting it, and they did the bomb swab, and then it went through the machine, and the machine was not giving a result. It was like erroring out, and I was like, oh god, what is that? What does this mean for my chances of making this flight? And then they called over like the boss, like the TSA big boss lady, and she came over, and they were like, we don't know what this thing is. We don't know what to do with it. And I was like, it's a laptop. And I had said that it was a laptop, so I don't know why they were like, what do we do? What is this thing? And she was like, yeah, what is it? And I just opened it up. I'm like, it's the laptop, the original Apple laptop. And she was like, oh, okay, off you go. And then I went. Not bad.
I mean, it looks a little suspicious. Did this happen at like 6 a.m.? Was it that flight?
I think it very well was. Yeah.
That's kind of rough.
Yeah, it was.
That's pretty rough.
No, it was terrible. It was awful. I wanted to jump.
Oh, geez. Well, it's a good thing that it made it through. You know what? If that thing can make it through after all that, then I'm not worried about the whatever other Mac I may or may not be bringing somewhere.
Maybe, perhaps. Who's
Maybe
to say?
hypothetically.
Hypothetically. No, yeah, I mean, the portable is definitely, I don't know. I mean, it's in a briefcase. It's got like these very weird, they're not lithium ion batteries. They're like nickel metal hydride. They're like wacky, weird batteries.
Oh.
There's like, the black and the red wire. Like, I could understand why you'd be a little bit sus, but the regular, the Macintosh Plus, it's just like, people see it, they recognize it, right? This is one of the first really iconic pieces of technology. I mean, I'm trying to think of anything from before 1984 that would be that instantly recognizable as like the general population going, I know exactly what that is.
Yeah, I feel like people would, like non-tech people, I feel like they would at least like recognize it. Or like you see the rainbow Apple logo on there, it says Macintosh on it. They're gonna recognize it. They're gonna know. And it's it's like just a little, it's
Exactly.
just like a little guy, It's not like,
Yeah.
the portables, like that's a little scary. You got the briefcase, it folds up, it's got that big old thing in the back. It's like, what's hiding in there? We don't know what's in there. But
Absolutely.
you look at this, it's just it's a little guy.
It's very cute.
Yeah.
It's very adorable. It's
Yeah.
something that I think everyone can get behind, and they'll be like, "Oh, I remember those from when I was young or not even born yet or old." If they're really old.
Yeah, it's not one of those.
I think people were pointing out like maybe old Apple stuff and Atari stuff is kind of similar. I think if you were to bring like old Nintendo stuff, people would probably be like, "Oh, I know what that is. That's cute. That's nice." But I'm not sure, like, in terms of anything older than the original Macintosh, I really don't know what piece of technology would be as iconic.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's like the Macintosh, there's like the NES was, a classic, but like earlier than that, like what I don't know if there's like a computer video game kind of thing that people would recognize necessarily. I don't know.
That's true. Maybe an NES, I think that could count, but as far as I know, okay, so in Japan, the NES came out in July 1983. In North America, it wasn't until 1985. And in Japan, it was called the Famicom, not
Right.
the
And it looked different.
not the NES. Yeah, we saw a bunch of. I don't know if you saw it in the Japan video, but we found loads of Famicoms
Nice.
with a different design for Japan. Those are
Nice.
really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's a good example. But what is there anything even older than that? I don't think there is.
Someone said Apple II. I don't know how universally recognizable that would be. Maybe. I don't know.
Somebody said the Atari 2600.
I mean, people,
one,
you know what it is. Like if someone said Atari 2600, you recognize it. But if you saw someone carrying it around, like what does that even look like?
Yeah.
Let's see.
I think it is generic looking enough that people would potentially mistake this for like a very retro looking like speaker or like a sound system. I don't know that people would look at that and go Atari.
Yeah, like unless like we're talking about like the general public here kind of thing.
Yeah. I kind of want to
Someone
get
said PS5
now. PS5? Well, yeah, I mean, I'm talking vintage here, folks. I'm not talking about PS5 is brand new. Come on.
Someone said Walkman. When was the Walkman?
Oh, that's a good one. I think that would have been later though, right? Oh, it
Um,
launched July 1979.
yeah, I feel
I
like I
feel
don't
like
know.
it was popular, more popular with like CDs than it would have been with like cassettes.
Yeah, I feel like this is the kind of thing, like, if someone brought this, it would probably just be in their bag. Like, the Macintosh is too
That's
big, so you
true.
gotta, like, carry it. I feel like the Walkman would kinda just go in your bag.
That's very true. Yeah. You definitely wouldn't need to like lug it all the way through security.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't patch you down over a Walkman.
I would hope. I would really hope.
Unless you liked it. Did you like this part? Did you like that?
No,
No?
no.
No? Not
I
at
was like
6
off to the
AM?
side, and all the people are going by watching, thinking, "What did this guy do wrong?" You know, they're thinking, "Does this guy have heroin needles? Like, what's he doing?"
Yeah, you're on a list somewhere. Now you're on a list.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, they're watching me probably now.
They're probably watching this show right now.
They are. I mean, I'm pretty sure John here. That's big FBI energy. Cool guy 555555551.
Hmm.
Absolutely, absolutely a Fed.
Look at the picture, the profile picture for this cool guy, right?
Looks like
It's
an
gotta
FBI
be.
agent.
Oh yeah, with the sunglasses.
Easily. They're all around us. Oh, wait a minute. Commodore 64 might be. I think the more I think about it, though, the more I don't know that I would necessarily expect the majority of people to recognize a Commodore 64 if they saw it.
I mean, it has, like, if you see the logo, I just looked it up. If you see the logo on it, then you might, but it just looks like a really old keyboard otherwise. I don't know if the majority of people
Yeah,
would recognize it. I don't think so.
I think no. I think the Macintosh is the oldest, like, really, like, in the public psyche, pop culture piece of tech.
I think that's a fair guess, fair assumption.
Oh man, you guys, I really hope that everyone finds retro stuff as interesting as I do, because we're diving in pretty deep in the next couple weeks. Noah's Closet can attest to how deep we're diving.
Yes, there's some good stuff that is coming up.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. But I really shouldn't be allowed on eBay anymore, because I'm just like going down rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole.
I think you should. I
It's
want
not
to
good.
just say this because I didn't. We had this discussion, like, I guess when you were here, but you don't have the eBay app on your phone, and I thought that was so
That's
funny.
intentional.
But you should, yeah, you should mention that because I thought it was really funny.
Yeah, I very intentionally don't have the eBay app on my phone because I know that if I did, all of my monies would go away.
Yeah, we were looking, like, we were doing something, and I saw you had the eBay mobile website on your phone, and I was like, "Why are you not using the app?" And then you explain, you're like, "Oh, if I had the app, I would be buying stuff all the time."
Mm.
It's a good little bit of self control right there. I thought that was pretty good.
I mean, it's a very, very low bar because the problem is, and eBay, god damn it, they know what they're doing, because every time I'm like, okay, I tweeted about this the other day. I bought a PowerBook 100, right? That I think is a really fascinating piece of tech, and I'm hoping to make a video on it. However, as soon as I bought that, all of a sudden, out of the woodwork come all of these fascinating pieces of history. It's like, hey, you might like this. And I'm like, God damn it. I very well do. Yep. I like that. Boom. Add to cart. And then it's like, hey, bro, I know you just bought a PowerBook 100 and a PowerBook 180C and a PowerBook 165. But what if I told you there's a PowerBook 145B for $40.
Can't say no to that.
What am I going to do? Not buy that? What am I, insane? Of course I'm going to get that. So
mean, you
yeah, I got
are.
another PowerBook.
Yeah. That's how they get you.
They do. Make no mistake, they do. Damn it. They keep catching me.
Well, at least you get content out of it. It's worth something.
Yeah, I hope the people like them, because I mean, I got too much to even make content on. Unfortunately, I got doubles, okay, Noah? I got doubles of the PowerBook.
Yeah. Triples
What would
of the
I even do with
Macintosh.
doubles? Triples of the Macintosh. More than triples of the Macintosh.
Well, you know it's safe if you got triples.
Exactly. Yeah. No, absolutely. But I have a wife. tell him. Noah, tell him. Tell him I have a wife.
He has a wife.
And she's beautiful, but she's dying. This is a hard cut reference. I'm curious to see if people get this reference. I'm sure people will.
I think so.
They better. I'm going to be really mad, Noah, if nobody in the chat gets that reference at all. But I am happy to see that it seems like people are looking forward to some retro stuff. So that's definitely going to be exciting. I'm hoping that I'll get some of my swing voters in for that stuff too, you know?
I think you will. I think it's a good campaign. It's a good platform to run on. Retro content. Who can say no?
Absolutely. I feel like retro content is one of those things that doesn't really offend anyone, because everyone likes to go back and be like, "Oh, look at the little computers. Oh, they're so nice."
Yeah.
And then if I show them, then it means that you don't have to buy them. So I'm actually doing you a favor.
This is like a public service. This should be like taxpayer funded, honestly.
It should. Absolutely. And it's also public service because in my doing this, I rope Noah in as well. So I know, Noah, you're now interested in the desktops. So it's only a matter of time before I get you interested in old PowerBooks.
Oh boy. You do rope me into some of these things.
I do.
You know, another thing
what?
that you
You're a
roped
good
me
sport.
into. I am. And I think maybe now we can give a quick update about that iPad, the Tiger Direct thing, because apparently we forgot to do that.
Yeah.
So another thing you roped me into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did rope Noah into that. I actually had placed an order for 2 of those PowerBooks. Not PowerBooks, iPads. And unfortunately, I guess it's not really a surprise, but they did get canceled.
Yeah, so this was like a couple weeks ago. This was a couple weeks ago at this point that Tiger Direct had those, like, they had a couple of things listed at like really, really good prices. Luke and I both bought iPads. Luke, you bought like one, and then you told me about it, and then you bought another one, and then you convinced me to buy one, and then they canceled them, so it didn't even matter at the end. But for a couple of days, it was very exciting.
They were probably just skimming cards, you know.
Yeah, we're both in there now.
Oh yeah, we're gonna fall victim sooner or later. You know, it's fine. It's all fine. Except for that we might be robbed, but you know, happens to the best of us.
Hopefully not.
Well, that's fair. Oh gosh, I will say one thing: the eBay the eBay website breaks all the time. I don't know why. On the Mac, maybe it's a Safari thing. I don't know, but maybe it's a feature. Maybe that it's trying to save me from myself, but the site just stops working. Like you won't be able to click on anything. The pictures don't load, and you have to like refresh the website like 10 times before anything works. Maybe it is trying to save me.
That's never happened to me. I feel like maybe you go on there so much that it thinks you're like a bot or something, and then it's like trying to throttle you.
That's probably true. That is probably true. I think you're right.
Yeah.
You know what we haven't done is we haven't talked about the title of the episode, which is this a tech drought? I guess today's episode is evidence in the affirmative.
Yes, this episode is also a drought of discussion on the titular topic, so we could fix that at least.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I mean, we're in a weird spot, right? Everyone is saying essentially nothing coming really before WWDC. I think Gurman said that MacBook Airs might come out in April, which would be odd.
Would that MacBook Air, like the 15-inch MacBook Air?
Supposedly. I don't believe that, personally.
Yeah, wait, the MacBook Airs have the M2 already, right?
Right. So if there were to be new MacBook Airs, it would either be like a 15-inch MacBook Air with an M2 chip, which is like there's no way that's going to happen. It would be 10 months after the M2 came out. There's no way they would do that. So then it makes you think, okay, well, it's got to be M3. So do we think that Apple is going to reveal the M3 chip? I mean, at that point, they would have to do a full-on event in April. There's no other way around it.
Yeah, because like M2 got event time, right, at some event, and that was like a smaller change than M3 is supposed. M3 is supposed to be like the architecture change. What was it, like 3 nanometer, right?
Yeah. And so honestly, I could see there being an April event. I mean, they did one in 2021. That's when we got the M1 iPad and iMac. I feel like spring events are becoming more and more common. So I don't know. I think we might have mentioned this actually on the show previously. Like if we're talking about an M3 chip, the new VR headset, and a Mac Pro, that's too much for WWDC. So maybe it would make sense to have the M3 chip come out in the MacBook Pro, and then iPad, MacBook Air, MacBook Air 15, get refreshed iPads. Maybe I think we've heard some like new feature or redesign or a new screen type or something like that. That to me sounds like enough for an April event.
Yeah, and I feel like it would be cool to see, like it would be great to have like more events, like sort of spread some of the things out a little bit, maybe, or just, there's always like you know that the September event is going to be iPhone and Apple Watch, and then sometimes there's like an accessory, HomePod or something in there, and then a month later is October, and there's some kind of Mac, sort of event going in there. And then there was one year that we also got a December event, right? Or was that a press release? But there was like, was that 2020?
Oh, yeah. AirPods Max.
Okay, and that was a press release. So there's like, I feel like there's a lot of stuff that gets, and I guess, maybe it's like a holiday season kind of thing, or it's like the cycle that they're on. But I just feel like we have sometimes, like right now we're feeling it a little bit of a tech drought. And then there's sometimes where there's like so much, it's like the iPhones come out, and by the time you've recovered from that, it's already time for like new Macs or something. I feel like Apple could stand to spread them out. And now we're in a position too, where there's like all these different, with the Macs being on Apple Silicon, Apple has more control over the, timeline and the refresh cycle of that, as opposed to just like grabbing the latest Intel chips and sticking them into their computers. And like there are some computers that have, been refreshed recently. There are some like the iMac that it's been a long time, and there are still some that we're waiting for, like a bigger iMac. I feel like Apple could really spread their things out a little bit more and help, bring us a little rain here in these tech drops.
I definitely agree. I mean, I think there's reasons to sort of put everything towards the end of the year from like okay, think about it this way. At the end of the year, almost everyone has time off for Christmas, New Year's. December, I feel like, is not a huge month of work. And then January, people get like back into it. So like on a cyclical basis, you have to imagine that January, people, are getting back to work and ramping up again. February, you're prepping. By March, that's probably the earliest of any given moment that you can be like, okay, we've finished our product. It's in production. We are, it's being manufactured because Chinese New Year interferes with manufacturing in late January. Almost everything in China completely stops at the end of January. So there's like a 2-month period in December and January where no one's really on full steam ahead. And so when you push that back into now, like everyone's getting back and up and ready in February, March is basically the earliest that Apple can ever really have an event. Except for this year when they kind of had an event in January, but that's clearly because all of that stuff was supposed to be last year and it was just pushed really late.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, March is probably the earliest. Then you get to June. I feel like the summer's kind of wasted though, to your point.
Yeah, I feel like we get, okay, totally fine. December, January, people taking, the workers or Apple employees are taking time off, and other people are doing their vacations and whatever. That's totally fine. February, March. Okay, cool. So let's say we get an event, you get an event in March or April, then we get WWDC in the beginning of June. And then it's like, June, July, August. It's like a pretty long time. I feel like they could sprinkle a little bit, somewhere in there. It doesn't have to be anything super exciting. It could just be some refreshes, but sprinkle a little something in there, give us something to do. And then, September comes around, and then, I guess October, they're going to do another event. And someone pointed out in the chat that what I was thinking of, there was like a September, October, November, right? There was one year where they did September, October, November events. And that was only 1 year, I think, but that was like a pretty crazy year.
That was 2020, if I remember correctly, because that was when,
yeah,
because they pushed the iPhone to October, and then we had the Apple Silicon event in November.
Yeah, that was a big year. That was definitely not a normal year for Apple, but I do feel like they could spread some things out a little bit more. Who knows? Maybe the headset, you know what? If they launch the headset and that becomes something, even if they don't refresh it every year, maybe their July event every other year is the headset event, or I don't know. They could do something like that.
Dude, I didn't even think about that, but you're right. Like the headset, we have these annual cycles, right? There's always a couple of Macs, pretty much the entire lineup in terms of like the main stuff has to get updated at some point. The Apple Watch and the iPhone are basically tied together in September. iPads, you can kind of sprinkle them in wherever, but there's almost always an iPad or multiple iPads in any given year. And now we're adding this new category of the headset, and I'm very curious to see how that comes in. Like, does that get shared time with Apple Watch and iPhone in September? I wonder.
I guess it could. I feel like when they announce it for the first time, I feel like it's got to be at Dub. I mean, it doesn't have to be, but I feel like that makes a lot of sense to me. It's a new platform. I feel like it makes sense to go there, and they're gonna need a lot of time. They're gonna want to have a lot of time. Like, when Apple Silicon launched, they basically had a dedicated event for Apple Silicon to explain, all the new architecture and the new philosophy, and then show off a couple of products that it was going to go into. I feel like for the headset, it's like a whole new thing. They got to have maybe not a dedicated event, but they got to spend a lot of time talking about this thing and showing off all the different ways that it can be useful. But then after that, they could fold it into an existing event. They could make the events longer. The Apple events are, pretty short and sweet, given the new format that they've been using for the past few years. Or they could do a separate event. I don't know.
I'm really glad you brought this up, Noah, because this is not even something that I'd considered. But I mean, you're definitely right about WWDC. I think that's no question. That is the best time to introduce a new product like this, because I mean, as great as all of the hardware and like as much thought as Apple has undoubtedly put into that product, the only real way that it works is when developers get on board and make their software and all of the third-party stuff that you would want work on it. That was one of the big problems with the Apple Watch initially, was it didn't do all that much. And I would argue that you could chalk that up to it being launched in the fall, revealed in the fall, sent to developers over that dreaded December, January break that we talked about earlier, and then came out in the spring of 2014 or 15.
Yeah, and I feel like, from the whole point of like WWDC, right? Like, we all tune in and watch the keynote. That's sort of the big thing and the big like public facing thing. There's like the State of the Union, State of the Platform address thing that they do after that. I feel like a lot of people don't tune in for that. But then, the whole thing about WWDC is that it's like a few days of like these, sessions or like varying degrees of interactivity, but there's like these sort of interactive sessions where they'll explain, let's say like, they announce all these new technologies. Oh, iOS 16, they're bringing live activities. I think that was one of the things, right? And then, or they're bringing like
I think you're right.
Or it was the one before, whatever, like live activities, or like the notch, like how do you do the notch? So like they announce all these new things, and then the next few days there are all these sessions explaining to developers like, here's all the new things you just announced and here's how you use them. And they have all these sample projects set up, and they walk through the code and they say, this is how you integrate, this is how you create a notch thing to interact with the notch and whatever. And so when they're announcing this headset, there's going to be a whole new set of APIs, a whole new framework. However, we're going to interact with this thing, we don't know what that's going to look like, but there's going to be a whole thing there. And so there's going to need to be a lot of these sessions to explain to developers, like, here's the new toolkit, here's the philosophy of how you write software for this app or for this product, how the software is supposed to work, example projects, so on and so forth. And it really makes sense to do that at WWDC. I think
they're already there for that exact purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, do you know what that means, Noah?
Are you thinking this year?
I think this is the year. I mean, the rumors have been pointing to 2023 for a while. I think I remember back in 2020, people were saying it's going to be 2023 for the headset. And I was like, that's so far away. And then 3 years happened, and now here we are. And WWDC is just about the best place to do an announcement like that. Like, obviously, they've done hardware reveals before, but all of the real big ones that happen at WWDC happen there because it's a developer-focused event. It's not a coincidence that Apple launches stuff like Apple Silicon at an event like that. And I would even argue that Well, while we might see the reveal of the VR headset, I don't think it's going to ship for a while, possibly even this year. Because, I mean, think about Apple Silicon, right? Apple Silicon has Rosetta, which is designed to give you a transition for existing applications. And there's universal binaries in Xcode. You can fairly easily adapt programs from Intel to Apple Silicon. But they still had that pretty long DTK period with the DTK that I made a video about from June until November before they started shipping. This headset, it's a different game, right? That was adaptation. This is completely new form factor. So these are all going to have to be likely ground up applications, or at least completely reworked.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if, the headset doesn't launch for a while. I agree that there needs to be time for the third parties to work on. And for all we know, there could be some third parties that like already have some sort of a pre-production headset and, they have NDAs and whatever. Like we don't know that, obviously, but like
I'm sure they do.
But it's still going to be, if they announce it, it's not going to be like, available now or available soon. I think we said this in a previous episode. I don't think that they would even commit to a firm date. I think they would say available late 2023 or available 2024 and not even commit to a firm date. That's my theory.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, Apple Silicon, they did the same thing. If I recall, they said like coming this fall. They love to say that.
Yeah.
And it's always not fall. They say this fall, you think, oh, September, October. Most of the time, it's like the second week of December. That's what they did with Mac Pros.
Yeah. So, they play with the timeline, but I think it would be really cool to see it announced and to know like to learn more of the details about it and like know that it's something that exists. Like we all kind of like we've heard theories about it for years, but like to actually have it announced and to have like a lot of questions, because we have a lot of questions about it, to have some of those questions be answered, like that'd be really cool. And the rumors were saying March event for this for a while, and then it sounded like that kind of went away. But if the rumors were saying a March event, then theoretically, it could be a dub thing. Like people thought that it was ready for the March event, and then maybe for some reason it wasn't. Maybe it'll be ready for a dub. Give them a couple more months.
That's a very good point. And I did want to address that someone here is saying, why have we not seen any leaks of the VR headset if it's almost ready? I don't think it's coming for a while. And what Noah and I are basically saying is that we agree with you. And there's multiple reasons as to why Apple would do something like this. How, and I guess the big question there is how is so much of this a secret? How do we not have any idea what this thing is going to look like? The big reason is because Apple tends to, for many reasons, not, start selling big stuff like this right as soon as it's available. Apple Silicon, Apple Watch, all of that stuff had at least 6 months. And that's partially because these things aren't ready, partially because they are, trying to get developers to build out the applications for a smoother rollout, and partially because it's a lot easier to keep something secret if it's 6 months from going on sale, because typically it's not being produced yet, which is a lot easier to keep secret. In Apple's really early stages of prototyping, we don't see leaks about them. Like, you have to remember all of the leaks that we have seen. Those tend to be for fairly recognizable things. iPhones, Apple Watches, even MacBooks to some extent. Like we saw the leak of the MacBook Pro, and the design thereof leaked a little bit before it launched. But that's because that design was basically finalized and they were doing production validation testing. We only really get these public leaks in the PVT stage because that's when the scale is such that there are enough people that aren't under these really strict, close NDAs that it can actually be leaked. When something is, early enough, like AirPower or the Apple Watch pre-2015 or the iPhone before it was revealed. Like all of these things are so tight knit that there is a very small pool of people that have access to that information, which makes leaking harder because it's a lot easier to trace. So that's basically a long way of saying that the reason why we haven't seen leaks is probably not an indication that it's a long way off, but that it is still in the stage that it can be kept secret because that usual production ramp up, which is where we see all the leaks, isn't going to happen until after it's already been announced.
Yeah, exactly. So we definitely agree. When you say it's not coming anytime soon, I think that was not coming for a while. Yeah, it's not coming out for a while, but it definitely, Apple wants to announce it before all of this stuff happens so that it doesn't get leaked, because exactly like you said, these things get leaked, in the production phase because there's a lot more people and they're not bound by the strict NDAs, like you said. And so that's, a good reason to think that Apple might announce it, because, if they have this thing that they're getting ready for, they got to ramp up production. This is like a new product. It's going to be some, like a new product line, like assembly process or whatever, like different parts, like whatever the screens are. We heard rumors about like crazy high density screens. There's like all this stuff. So they're going to want to get, they're going to need some lead time between the announcement and when they ship them. But they want to announce, they got to announce them before they can really start ramping up the production. So that's why it might be, a good reason to hope that they will announce them, relatively soon.
Dude, I think it's going to happen. I really do.
We were talking here for like a month about like, there's going to be a March event and they're going to announce the headset in the March event. And we were so excited about that. And now, obviously seems like that's not going to happen, but like whatever leaks or whatever information or insights that people drew that led that to be a theory, a strong theory that a lot of people believed, there's no reason to believe, maybe it didn't work out now, but, in a couple months from now, because in order to get to that level of the theory that everyone's talking about it, there's got to be some credible evidence that they're getting ready to launch this thing. And maybe the timeline was wrong. Maybe they had to push it back, but like they're getting ready to launch it theoretically. So, I'm hopeful that we'll actually see it get launched.
Yeah. No, I think I'm looking it up now, and as of 2 days ago, there were further updates. I think Ming-Chi Kuo has been the one who spearheaded this a lot, and they basically said, I'll read the tweet here. This is from January, by the way, so keep that in mind. Apple's mixed reality headset development is behind schedule due to issues with mechanical component drop testing and the availability of software development tools, meaning that mass shipment of this device may postpone from the original Q2 2023 to the end of Q2 or Q3 2023. Now, notice that typically when we've heard about these delays, they tend to be vague, right? They tend to say like, okay, this isn't going to ship for a while. Or they tended to even be referring to announcements. Ming-Chi Kuo there is talking about shipments. And honestly, Q2 2023 is earlier than I thought would be realistic. So if he's saying that even with these delays, we're talking about Q3, I would say that is still probably earlier than it would be with what we talked about. I would not be surprised if we don't see it until 2024 even. But I think it's very likely that we do get the reveal this year.
Yeah, they're definitely going to want time on this one to between the reveal and the launch. They'll want a good amount of time, and we want to see it. We want to know what the future of Apple is. So they gotta
wait.
They gotta do it.
This could be an iPhone moment.
It certainly could be. It could be. That was the big thing. This could be. There was the whole thing about like the iPhone launched, and it sort of competed with the iPod, right? And it sort of cannibalized the iPod market. But Apple let that happen. They let the iPod market die so that the iPhone could succeed. And look at how big it is now. And theoretically, sometime down the line, the headset could potentially be that next thing. If we all believe that people are going to be wearing like augmented reality equipment of some sort, and like that, if we believe that that's going to be the future, then this would be, whether you believe that or not is up to you. But if you do believe it, then this would be, another iPhone moment in that same way.
Dude, that would be so exciting. Oh, I cannot wait. But unfortunately, I have to. And unfortunately, you guys don't have to wait for me to announce the ending of this podcast episode. We gave you guys a couple bonus minutes here to make up for Noah's terrible mistake.
Yeah, that was on me.
Yeah. So it's good that you're taking responsibility. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I've reflected on it throughout the course of this episode. I use those bonus minutes to reflect on it, and I'll take responsibility.
Yeah, that's very grown up of you, and honestly, it's been an honor, Noah, to podcast co-host with you.
Thank you. The pleasure's been all yours.
Unfortunately, the pleasure of ending this episode belongs to no one, but I have been your host, Luke Miani.
And I've been your host, Noah Rubin. We'll see you next week, and have a great night.
Take care.